Mike, Mike, sound check, sound chickadee check it out, check it out. Again, on air. What's up, everybody? Welcome to a new episode of the Meadows and Makers podcast, brought to you here on MSP Waves. And welcome. This is a show that I like to do where I try to bring you guys some solutions on the world and the way we're heading in the world, and kind of solutions through taking your own individual actions through cool stuff like technology and farming and permaculture and all that kind of good stuff. If you have been looking into information for a while, I am a long time have been for a long time looking into a lot of stuff, a lot of different materials, and I have come to some different conclusions about the reality that I'm living in, and want to try to share what I believe there are some solutions, some things that I'm implementing in my own life. So tonight, welcome to the show. For one, like I said, my name is Greg, Meadows and Makers podcast. If you're hanging out and listening, tonight I wanted to talk about some things going on in the realm of central bank digital currencies. I've got a good article that I found that I wanted to share with you guys about that tonight, and kind of get into that topic. I worked on my stream layout and everything like that, so this is kind of the first testing, first time I'm testing this out on live. So let me know if you guys can hear me okay and everything is coming through as far as the images and everything like that. If you are hanging out in the Discord, the Peace, Abundance, and Liberty Discord, MSP Waves, that your chat is coming through. I can see that on my screen. And also I have the YouTube chat piped in here. So I just want to let you guys know that I should be able to see everybody's chats and what's going on. So welcome to the show. Let's get into it. Let me make sure that all the things are running properly here, and we'll get started. So let's see. Looks like everything's going good. What's up, Tracy? Good to see you on there. I see your chat and see what's going on. So Uh, Sound good on the YouTube side, so awesome. So, welcome to the podcast tonight. The first thing that I wanted to bring to your guys' attention here is the rollout of CBDCs, and it looks like we have a some testing of the whole CBDC, central bank digital currency idea is getting rolled out right now. And I found a good article scrolling through my Twitter earlier today, and I wanted to bring that up to you guys. It's from Agorist Nexus, and it was a pretty good article sharing not only what is happening with the testing in the kind of the first case, I guess the rollout of this thing. And so I wanted to share this article with you guys. And I thought it was a pretty good kind of description on how all this is going down. So I'm going to start off. We're going to chat a little bit about that. But then I have some other solutions that I wanted to get into you guys with. Talk a little bit about some of the projects that I've got going on. And some of the projects that I'm looking into getting involved with some other folks. One is a metals detox that I wanted to cover with you guys tonight, and this is coming from Dr. Andrew Kaufman, who has a seminar coming out soon, and wanted to make everybody aware of that. And then also there is one other thing if you guys want to get involved in it. It's just pretty cool, and I'm going to pass you some information off on how you can get involved in some crystal battery replication experiments if you would like, and we're going to talk a little bit about that too. So let me pull up the article here from Agorist Nexus so that we can kind of start diving into this. So good to see you, Rondon. Thank you for being here. And let's get into this article real quick here. So this is the title of this article is called U.S. is testing CBDC. This is our last chance over here on Agorist Nexus. So let me drop that in the chat rooms there for you guys. So what we got going on is a whole bunch of fuckery. So this is written by Jeremiah Harding, just released today, I believe. This is November 22nd. So he's talking about anyone who's been paying attention very recently can tell you the world powers are consolidating even greater levels of power than we've seen yet. It's been a gradual process building up here, but it was sped up by a pandemic where they exploited people's desire for contact-free living in order to make things more convenient. While not making them safer or freer, they also didn't make them healthier at all. The entire lockdown industrial complex was nothing more than a fabrication designed to hijack people's fears of this illness, and also there's exposure, and also there's xenophobia, jingoism, and nationalism, so they would accept the coming tyranny with open arms, as long as it meant they didn't have to accept their neighbor, their political opponent, foreigners, with equally open arms. And by open arms, I mean stay at least 6 feet away from me or I'm calling the police. But this is the kind of society of Karens which has been created from cradle to grave with a mass indoctrination system known as the public school system, telling us it's okay to punish the collective for an individual's action, and that it's okay to use group psychology in order to enforce the will of a majority onto a minority, or at the very least, that's okay to exclude people who don't think like the system wants them to. So it goes on here, and let's go kind of describing how we've all kind of become so dependent on the system as it stands here. So it's not just, it goes on to say, it's not just an American problem either. It's a global problem, especially since the petrodollar has put America at the head of the global hegemony. But the petrodollar is exactly what keeps us all leashed to this system. So he wrote a previous article saying that the dollar is killing the planet. So then the banks enable the industries that are responsible for pollution, not just that, but they also fund the military-industrial complex. Both of these combine with the fact that the U.S. government has put the entire world on the petrodollar, and you end up with a dollar that is not only strictly tied to pollution-causing oil, but a financial institution which is responsible for even more pollution. The military-industrial complex, pretty much the largest polluter on the planet, and then everybody that's flying around in the jets and going all these places very love to promote the whole agenda of trying to be green and do all that, but they're not really practicing what they preach, so to say. So, looks like only if you have my link can you come and check out the YouTube broadcast right now. But actually, yeah, I don't know what's going on here. Hold on. Oh yeah, yep. So let me go ahead and share that with you guys in the chat room on Discord as well if you want to check it out there. But let's see, copy that link. So for some reason, when I do the broadcast, I'm posting it publicly, but for some reason it's cutting it off and trying to do some kind of trying to do some other stuff. If you guys want to share that link around or whatever, that's how you can come see the live stream tonight. So, for anybody that's not in the community. So there you go. Let's see if I can do this. And son of a gun, son of a bitch. I don't want to do that. I just want to pull this up. And let's do that. All right. So let's go further to read. So for those of you that read my articles on the way coronaviruses are being exploited to create a new economy, you know that I listed digital money as a chief concern of mine. The state is working with blockchain company Accenture in order to create a privacy-free digital dollar, which will be trackable universally and replace the existing dollar as the new currency of the United States. Accenture is also on the board of another Bill Gates project called ID 2020, where your biometric data, chiefly your face, will be used as a method to track your physical presence everywhere in the world. And with more and more options for the internet in more and more places, including Elon Musk's Starlink and the burgeoning 5G control net, putting in place the necessary cameras to enact this sort of universal surveillance is easier than ever. Let's look up this Accenture company real quick here. And custom cloud services, possibly. Information technology services, consulting, Fortune Global 500 company. Yeah. All right. We'll hold that thought for a minute there. So, um, well, let's look at the side project of one of the ID 2020 founders, Accenture, the Digital Dollar Project. Their claim in bold letterhead on their official site is that they're leading the discussion on a U.S. central bank digital currency. They claim to ensure the dollar can serve the broadest possible range of uses in an increasingly digital global economy and thereby maintain its privileged position and support orderly adjustment in international monetary relations. Consideration needs to be given plans to adopt a digital dollar issued by the Federal Reserve System as a quote. Their project directors include David Treat, Senior Managing Director, co-lead of Accenture's blockchain business, and Accenture lead of the New York FinTech Innovation Lab. Well, let's grab his title there and dive into that a little bit. So, live looking into all this. So we're doing it live. Senior Managing Director, Accenture. Blockchain and multi-party systems global lead. David Treat. Senior Managing Director leading Accenture's Tech Incubation Group, which includes blockchain multi-party systems business formed in 2015, as well as its extended reality, quantum computing, and robotics business. He's also global technology lead for capital markets business and has nearly 25 years of experience in financial services. He serves on the board of directors for Linux Hyperledger Project, Enterprise Ethereum Alliance, Global Blockchain Business Council, Interwork Alliance, and the ID 2020 Alliance, and is a member of the World Economic Forum, of course, C4IR, Global Blockchain Council, and Program Advisor. What's going on here? Oh yeah, let's check that out. Let's do that, and let's do this, and make sure that we got this going on. And I wanted to make sure that I can get this out to one more person. So let's see here. Here we go. Do that. Hang, man. Okay. Let me do that. Hang. There we go. All right. So these guys have got all the blockchain stuff, ID stuff that's going on. And it looks like these guys are involved in this like kind of a test of a central bank digital currency, which I have talked about in past podcast episodes. You know, I'm kind of laying this out for you guys. That Biden had an executive order way back in March, and then his rollout was about around this time. You know, kind of set a date of like so many days from that point. So, you know, what do we do? What's a solution for this stuff rolling out? He goes on to say that a CBDC, central bank digital currency, is being created for the U.S. right now. It has already been piloted in many countries. Every major world power is currently testing the ability to create these sorts of centralized currencies, cryptocurrencies, which are based in their desire to control all of us and based in their ability to puppeteer our finances, therefore our opinions and our lives. An official statement reads, this is the headline that I'm talking about today, about the kind of the starting of this. New York, the Federal Reserve Bank of New York today announced that its New York Innovation Center (NYIC) will participate in a proof of concept project to explore the feasibility of an interpretable network of central bank wholesale digital money and commercial bank digital money operating on a shared multi-entity distributed ledger. This U.S. proof of concept project is experimenting with the concept of a regulated liability network. It will test the technical feasibility, legal viability, and business applicability of a distributed ledger technology to settle the liabilities of regulated financial institutions through the transfer of central bank digital liabilities. The NYIC looks forward to collaborating with members of the banking community to advance research on asset tokenization and the future of financial market infrastructures in the U.S. as money and banking evolve, said per Von Zelowitz, director of New York Innovation Center. Von Zelowitz, or per Von Zelowitz. Let's check this guy out right here. Per Von Zelowitz here. Let's check that guy out. And let's check it out. Director. He is the director of the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. Awesome. How about that? So, New York Innovation Center. New York Innovation Center at the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. So, there we go. That's how things are shaking out right now. As part of this 12-week project, the New York Innovation Center will collaborate with a group of private sector organizations to provide a public contribution to the body of knowledge on the application of new technology to the regulated financial system. They conclude that it is not intended to advance any specific policy outcome, nor is it intended to signal that the Federal Reserve will make any imminent decisions about the appropriateness of issuing retail, wholesale CBDC, nor how one would necessarily be designed. The findings of the pilot project will be released after it concludes. I don't fucking believe them. From the article writer there. I don't either. They've been doing this for years, gradually building up processes to control currency from a central point and therefore control the entire world, because if you control the purse strings, you control the world. Did a video over here on the amount of countries recorded by the Atlantic Council who are currently participating in the processes to get CBDCs, along with the amount of countries who have already pulled the trigger, are actively using it, most chiefly in China. I did another one over here about the how the White House was announcing that this would start here in America. Did another one and over here about how the FIDO Alliance. Let me see if we'll pull up some of his videos here. So let me share these videos with you guys as well. Let's see. I'm going to pull up all his links so that I can share these out with you guys. Jeremiah Talks on YouTube here. And let's go into that. By observing the facts, the basic takeaway is every major bank and mega corporation is on board with a truly, let's see, I lost my place there. So, so he keeps talking about different things, videos that he's released. I did another one over here about FIDO Alliance working diligently to tie everything you do online in person to your finances, aligned directly to the blockchain and the new CBDC. And one over here, about how PayPal literally creating the foundation for stealing people's money for misinformation, which came out a little while ago, talking about how they were going to charge people like $2,500 for, misinformation through your PayPal account. And I haven't looked into this, but I heard that that was still a part of the site. Sweet. Let me see. See, Tracy said there's got a article from Kitco News on CBDCs, and I was gonna see if that link was in there. It's supposed to conclude in mid-February, so let's see here. Sees Kitco. So I don't know if that chat came through or not with the link that you found, Tracy. But here, let's see if there's a recent article that comes out 11/11/2022, November 11th in 2022 here. New York Fed launches phase 2 of its study US dollar CBDC. All right. Let's get back to this article. So don't be surprised if the CBDC is launched next year, for instance. That would line up nicely with all the timelines that I've been projecting in my previous work, and I've basically been right every step of the way. Further, with heavy hitters like BNY Mellon, Citi, HSBC, MasterCard, PNC Bank, TD Bank, Truist, US Bank, Wells Fargo, and Swift all getting involved. India considering their own, Russia launching theirs, largely in response to sanctions. Brazil, Nigeria, and many other developing countries getting their own. It shouldn't be a surprise at all that the U.S. would also be doing it. And it should be expected that this will be the adopted paradigm going forward. Let's see. Ozlot, welcome to the live stream. CBDC max supply unknown. Exactly. So are our fiat currency notes. So yeah, what are we talking about? With central bank digital currency, it's basically a way to have more control over all of your stuff, and if you're getting paid in some kind of this central bank digital currency, you could get shut off, or the currency could be programmed for only being able to be spent on certain things. So it goes on to say, U.S. government will be able to see every single transaction you do connected to your ID, which will be then connected to all of your social media, especially thanks to policies pushed by people like Elon Musk, demanding that we give our IDs and credit card details in order to use Twitter like we do now. All the while, the FIDO Alliance is connecting to the password consolidation companies like Yubico, LastPass, and more along with biometric ID companies, MasterCard, Microsoft, Amazon, and pretty much all the other heavy hitters in this industry. It will not be hard for them to consolidate this kind of power, because they're consolidating it with the express approval of the people in charge of the mega corporations and banks. And it looks like I am not receiving that link, But Tracy, if you can message me that link, that would be great. And I'll bring it up here to find the exact link that you had found. Ocelot, no surprise, everyone dancing to the beat of Klaus Schwab Agenda 2030. Yep, exactly. Crimson Clad in El Gecko, welcome, guys, to the podcast tonight. So, yeah, that's interesting with Elon Musk, and I think Twitter Blue. I didn't know that they were part. I guess that's part of Twitter Blue, and the verification is you have to show some form of identification, and then pay so that you can become verified on Twitter. And didn't understand this full connection here, but that makes a lot of sense that they would want everyone to start associating your identity with every identity, any kind of identity or alias or whatever you have on the internet that you would operate with, even though probably would not be necessarily that difficult to figure out who you are if you're using some kind of pseudonym on the internet. But anyway, this just kind of makes it more transparent for they, them, those, the powers that should not be, to access you. So looks like you can't really share a link in the YouTube chat. And this is kind of the first time I wanted to try this out. And my buddy Tracy is kind of helping me out with this tonight. And looks like we're having issues with that. I thought you could post links in the YouTube chat, but apparently I'm not able to see them. Maybe just 1 second. 1 second here. Let me see if I can pull this up from another location here. Go directly into the live stream feed and see if I can see what you're talking about, or any of the things that you posted. No, I can't. Ocelot, YouTube is a prison. Yeah, it sucks, man. The only problem I need, for next stream, I'm going to see if I can figure out how to more reliably stream to Odyssey. The only thing with Odyssey is like when I create the live stream event, I have to do a bunch of extra stuff before I go live, and so I'm still trying to figure all that stuff out right now. But yeah, I would much rather do probably like a majority of this stuff. Number one, through MSP Waves. Everybody go check out mspwaves.com/watch, or join the Hive blockchain. And Hive, if you get started blogging on Hive, would be number one as we come into something like a CBDC. Definitely is a better social media for creators and people that want to create content and that want to get rewarded for your content, through via cryptocurrencies. So that's one cool way of doing it. And then join in these other locations like Odyssey, and start supporting these other networks other than YouTube, outside of YouTube. But YouTube is one of the places where you can get the message out to more people. So I'm gonna rock it until I get kicked off of there on the channel. So, all right, let's see if let me grab this link here, and let me make sure that I can pull that up on my laptop. This is another link that was just sent to me here. So also part of the CBDC plan here. So let me pull this up and get this ready. So I believe, yes, good. Okay, that one. All right, guys. So let's get back to talking more about this article. Let me pull this up. Oh yeah, do you guys like my background? If you're watching, it's kind of like we're all in a meadow together. We're all hanging out in the meadow. See the grass, the blowing in the wind. I think it's pretty cool. I just figured this out. I took some time and I sat down and just figured this out. It took me like 2 hours to figure out how to make this little border for my video. I know that's pretty sad. That's kind of telling you a little bit about how my technical skills are on doing stuff online. So I'm still trying to figure all this stuff out with streaming, but I will continue to get better at it and try to keep improving. So yeah, I figured a few of those things out this week, but yeah, let's get back to the article here. So, like I said before, these people create problems, manipulate reactions, and offer prepackaged solutions as churned out, vulnerable, and temporary as pressboard furniture, and 100% less useful. If not doing more harm than good, in both fake private businesses like Academy and private businesses the world over are only too happy to ride their artificial highs, no matter how many people die in the process. As long as the dollars keep flowing in, they've little reason to change. This just continuing after talking about how these different companies are wanting to implement different ID programs. Yeah, the possibly having to use some form of identification anytime you log into the internet is another issue that's coming up here. So so let's see what's going on here. So I got that. I got all that going on, and I got a buddy texting me. You're there? All right. Sorry about that. So it goes on to say, that's what is hilarious about so many libertarians pretending that these are private companies, and it justifies their actions. They're anything but. They are arms of the state and have been since they were created. The state is not just some amorphous entity created by alleged governments. It's also all of the institutions which governments use. Institutions they institute to control people and control people they have. So he goes on to say, Samuel Edward Konkin III, Sec. 3, warned people about corporations. He said, in an agorist society, division of labor and self-respect of each worker, capitalist entrepreneur will probably eliminate the traditional business organization, especially the corporate hierarchy, and imitation of the state and not the market. All right. But therein lies the solution, because if corporate power is at stake, let's now get into solutions here. Corporate power is at stake and corporations mean to control everything, then agorism is the best way forward, at least while still participating in the market at all. If they force a CBDC on your country, compete with it by exclusively using privatizable cryptocurrency, the Bitcoin with Samurai or Wasabi wallet, or Bitcoin Cash with cash shuffling, or Monero and Pirate Chain, private by default. I would never tell you to use this method to launder money. That would be illegal. And I would never recommend anyone break the law because it's not like that's what the founding fathers did in order to get this place to begin with. It's not like that's what all the great thinkers eventually have to do in a society which desires to control the way they think and how they express their thoughts. It's not like we're slipping into a technocratic dystopia and law breaking might be necessary in order to flourish under this new all time high level of authoritarianism. All right, let's check this out. So, if let's go here. All right, not like this authoritarianism is puppeteered by banks and corporations in league with government to create the biggest state the world has ever known. It's not like everything they've gotten was unjustly gained, and it's not like they're trying to regulate cryptocurrency as a response to this sort of thing because they know how much of a threat it is to them when people can simply run their own financial systems without the permission or assistance of the state. It's not like they would have engineered a crypto crash related to a heavily state-connected figure like the FTX and Sam Bankman-Fried, using those connections as a way to launder money, fund wars, and engage in a bunch of domestic corruption without anybody stopping them. It's not like this crypto crash would have benefited them heavily so that they could justify a centralized currency which was totally regulatable by them and only auditable by their auditors. So, there we go. But leading into the recent controversy or recent story of Sam Bankman-Fried, FTX, I really can see that side of the story as the whole Hegelian dialectic of a problem reaction solution. Scope them out. Well, thanks for being here, man. The Ukraine is in the house. All right. Thanks for being here. So, so that's kind of where we're at right now, is this whole state of being in a being in this position of the Hegelian dialectic. I believe part of what's going on here is that to try to sour the taste of cryptocurrency in more people's mouths, true, more decentralized, privatized cryptocurrencies, in order to bring down more regulations into the market, cryptocurrency market. The cryptocurrency market has been, a free market, able to just kind of do its own thing for a while now, and with that, there's been a lot of scams in the free market. And if it was truly able to, run as a free market, then people start to sniff out scammers. You have to. It's dangerous freedom versus peaceful slavery when you come in and you start to regulate markets and everything like that. From my viewpoint. And so you just have to be smarter. You have to know about scams. You have to you have to kind of navigate the world of cryptocurrency, by being smart, and you have to figure out and learn from other people that have been in there for a little while and might be able to tell you about scams and things that are going on. So anyway, further going into solutions, not just the private cryptocurrencies, accepting those as kind of an exclusivity, like exclusively only for, doing transactions online, but also like if you can work some kind of deal with you and another person where they would be willing to accept private cryptocurrencies in exchange for what you're trying to buy. Those are the things that we've got to start doing if we want to create a parallel economy that stays outside of this whole tracked, regulated entire system here. And so it goes on to say, if you don't want this sort of thing and it seems too edgy or something, grow food, network with your neighbors, watch each other's kids, and take the burden off new parents by being the communities that used to exist. Take your kids out of the indoctrination system so they can learn to think freely now before it's too late. Rely less on corporations, the mainstream media, and the like. Form militias and defend your own neighborhoods so you don't need to call the cops as much. And be the kind of person who uses that sort of enforcement as a last-ditch effort after trying earnestly to solve these problems on your own. Because if you don't like being policed in all these other ways, why are you helping the police all of us to begin with? That is, if you weren't, as you were, or whatever. But ultimately, he's saying, do something and do something different. Do it now, because they are building the final nail in the coffin of your freedom as we speak. And it is not time to waste any time at all. So, yeah, I think the urgency is to, get started with something. And I think probably the best thing that I talk about a lot on here is, being able to grow some of your own food and not thinking that it's completely overwhelming, but just to get started with something. So I heard one other day on somebody's channel talking about, if you're not going to put a plant out on your balcony and grow a tomato, like, you're not gonna go further into getting land and trying to, do living more off the land and doing that kind of stuff. So, every journey starts with the first step, and you got to get started. And, if this doesn't light a fire under your butt when you're thinking about this, then I don't know what will. But it's definitely, those are some of the solutions. Just withdraw your support from the system in any way that you can. And that starts off, that really starts off with going and being as self-reliant as you can be, and withdrawing from supporting these corporations, these folks that are putting you in further enslavement into the reality that we live in. So let me get back to the chat here and see what's going on in the chat. So Scope Amount saying, where do I invest my money now? So like he was talking about, you have the privacy cryptocurrencies, and I am a huge supporter of those, things like Monero and Pirate Chain, and Darrow is a project that I really like, that is out there as far as like private cryptocurrencies that can enable things like smart contracts on their platform, which allows things like decentralized exchanges where folks can work in a parallel system and exchange crypto tokens through that system. And because that exists, I do believe that it does create an ecosystem for the cryptocurrency markets, because you can potentially move in and out of surveillance cryptocurrencies. That's one thing that I think is important that everybody understand, is that when we're talking about things like Bitcoin, Bitcoin is a completely public ledger, and the issue with that, and the government looking in on it, because it is completely public, all the transactions are public, that you can have tainted coins. So if Bitcoin was found to have been involved in some illegal activity the state deems as illegal, then now your wallet, your Bitcoin wallet, can get flagged based on those tainted coins. And so, if one of those Bitcoins ends up in a wallet that you own, that it could potentially bring challenges to you. And so that's the whole reason why the privacy coins in the space are important, in my opinion. And if you are going to use cryptocurrencies in order to facilitate the exchange of value between you and another person, I think it is a good step into starting to use some of these privacy cryptocurrencies and accepting them for things that you're producing. And that's something that I'm challenging myself with, is to be creating some products that I can sell for different privacy cryptocurrencies. And so that's why I got the 3D printer with the laser engraver and all that kind of stuff to do some custom engraving work, and to start offering that as a product, as well as I would eventually like to, start kind of building tutorials for people on various things when it comes to living off-grid concerns. When it comes to that, like for a while now, I've been playing around with solar power systems, and I've been working in that realm. And I'd like to try to share that out with more people, create some videos on how you can do that and get that out to some more people. So, so let's focus on the article that was sent to me from Kitco here, and let's dig into this, talking kind of it may be a little bit of a reiteration of what we just talked about, but let's see what these guys have to say about it. Let me pull this up here. Let me share the screen with you guys so everybody can check this out. This is the article that was shared with me from Kitco News, from my friend Tracy, helping me out tonight. All right. Following the successful completion of the first phase of Project Cedar, a study by the Federal Reserve Bank of New York that is exploring the technical framework for a theoretical wholesale central bank digital currency, the central bank has announced the launch of Phase 2. Project Cedar Phase 2 is a joint effort between the New York Fed's New York Innovation Center and the Monetary Authority of Singapore, intended to investigate how wholesale CBDCs could improve the efficiency of cross-border wholesale payments involving multiple currencies. Okay. UBIN Plus is the Monetary Authority of Singapore's collaborative initiative with international partners to improve efficiency and reduce the risks of cross-border foreign exchange settlement through the advancement of cross-border connectivity and interoperability of wholesale digital currencies. According to the announcement, Phase 2 will enhance designs for atomic settlement of cross-border cross-currency transactions, leveraging with CBDCs as a settlement asset. This will require establishing connectivity across multiple heterogeneous simulated currency ledgers. Say that 5 times fast. Ultimately, the goal is to reduce settlement risk, which is a key pain point in cross-border cross-currency transactions, the statement said. Okay, so I guess this is Phase 2 of this whole CBDC rollout here. This article is from November 11th here. Project Cedar Phase 2 and UBIN Plus advances global efforts to evaluate the benefits of wholesale CBDCs and help build capabilities for a future financial infrastructure that is open and interoperable. Says Leon Sing Chiong, Deputy Manager Director at the Singapore. What is this guy? What is that called again? The Monetary Authority of Singapore. The project takes a practical approach and designs for any future wholesale CBDC to be interoperable across networks while maintaining each network's autonomy. And, Singapore, probably one of the big reasons that Singapore exists, and I was listening to this in a Grand Theft World episode where they were talking about how a lot of the opium trade like kind of goes back to the British East India Company and their domination in certain regions that created, poppy fields, and got into a whole trade thing with China. And a lot of those operations and monies were flowing through the Singapore bank, the what is now called the HSBC. So they're involved in some dirty dealings and stuff. So anyway, guys, that's kind of a rundown on the whole CBDC situation and kind of what is a possibility to expect. They're all talking about, this is a trial run and we're just testing stuff out. And, we're not necessarily going to roll this out to everywhere, but can you believe that? I wouldn't put my faith in it. So, number one rule: don't trust anything the government tells you. So, all right, guys, let's get back to chat here and see what you guys see what's going on. So, hope everybody's been having a good week so far. That's one of the main topics I wanted to cover with you guys, and just say that the way around this is not going to be easy. I mean, you think about a world where like every employer is going to have to be accepting and paying out in central bank digital currencies, and retail outlets and places that you would typically normally shop are going to be all in on this program as well. And so, how are you going to interact in the economy this way? Like, you're going to need a network of people. You're going to need communities that are using alternative forms of money, so that it can stay outside of that system. And it's not all doom and gloom. I don't necessarily believe that there is, a stopping of a way to stop this from rolling out, but there are ways to step to the side of it to get around it, and that's what's gonna have to be. That's what you're gonna have to do if you don't want to be part of this, and you don't want to be shut off for having wrong think and saying the wrong things in public. And so I think it's going to be more important than ever that we move to these alternatives. And with that means that we're going to have new opportunities to be that person that can provide the market with food for private cryptocurrencies, that can be that person that can take alternatives of trade and barter for things that we can provide to our communities. And so that therein is an opportunity here. As these guys are trying to roll out the CBDCs, that leads to a tremendous opportunity, I believe, in the markets for providing an alternative to folks that do not want to participate in that and want to live a life that's free and not subject to the whims of the mob and folks that want to control our lives. So, that's the wrong one. There we go. That's the wrong one as well. So, is this the one? Yep. So, that's the main topic that I wanted to talk to you guys about tonight. some of the projects that I have been working on recently is one is this paperweight I have in my hand, and I have been getting more in on my 3D printer and been fine tuning it. So I'm getting some pretty really nice quality prints coming out of the machine right now, and uh, it might have to be something that I do off of YouTube with you guys. But if anyone is interested in making their own paperweights and things, I have been figuring out some good settings, at least for my own equipment. I know every piece of equipment is different, but if you happen to stumble upon a 3D printer and you get started, that I should be able to help you figure out some things or troubleshoot if you have any issues or things like that. Just from some of my experience doing it and all that. So I've figured a few things out and maybe able to give you some tips and tricks on how to make it make your prints better. Starting out, you'll learn a lot, and I can't tell you enough that that one of the great places to go is to go find a guy named Control Pew, and go look him up, because he is the man, and he also has a disease called stick it to the man neosis. Um, so, and if you discriminate against my disability, then you're a bigot. So, I have stick it to the man neosis, and if you don't acknowledge that, then you're a bigot. So, if you this is one thing that I have been thinking about, with the advent of these 3D printers, cross borders, all that kind of stuff, with the old FGC9, which is in the second iteration of its development here. They have gone through some changes and upgraded the design, that it is now in the second phase of its development. So it's gotten better, and it is one of the first firearms that, if you had a 3D printer in especially, we're talking like some kind of foreign country that has very strict gun control laws, that you can get around them. And the FGC9 made that a possibility with the work of Jay Stark. And if you want to go into that further, there was a pretty good documentary from a group called the Popular Front, and they did a whole documentary about Jay Stark and what he was doing, called Plastic Defense. So I think it's pretty cool. So you go check that out. But even if you guys aren't interested in that, I say go find the files and get some files. Get the files and keep them. So that if we have to go to something like a sneaker net, where we're physically walking around and sharing files, that's a possibility, where you still have that capability if things start to get more controlled on the internet, and these aren't as easy to access. So even if you don't have a 3D printer, grab the files. Is what I would say. So, see, Rondon is talking about, or McPoppy, need a 3D printer that can make ammo. I think there's a guy. Well, hold on. If you go and look into a guy named Suckboy Tony, he is working on that. To a certain degree, he is. What he's doing is, it's called. He's. They're calling it caseless ammunition. So it's like a 3D printed section that actually holds the powder, and then it's an electronic ignition instead of a primer cap to to set off the powder, and he's casting his own bullets. So to go into the caseless ammo. So look into that. That's like right at the beginning stages, but that is one of the huge issues, is that the chemicals for creating um, the primer caps, that stuff's highly explosive. There's not very many places that are making the stuff for the primer caps for the ammo. And so that kind of leaves you with two options. If these primer caps become in a shorter supply for ammunition, you either have to develop the chemistry to do that on your own in small areas, and work on the chemistry so that you can make that a possibility, or you have to find an alternative like this caseless ammunition or something like that. So yeah, that's part of it. I'm not really interested in using subpar guns. That's why I won't touch a Taurus or a High Point, and I doubt I can make something better than them. So, I won't say that they are as completely robust as a firearm that you could buy off the shelf, but there's a product out there that's glass-filled Zytel that is something that is a filament that is recommended if you want to get a comparatively, or if you want a firearm that's a comparative in at least structural strength of something like a Glock frame or something like that, of the plastic Glock frames. Something to think about there. So that's what you can do with that. Yeah, a gun is a tool used when you're fearing for your life. Reliability is the top priority. Yes. And so having it be a primary firearm, I agree with you there. A 3D printed weapon may not be the best solution for a high reliability weapon or a firearm, but you can have them as backups, and test them thoroughly. And break them in. I do believe you can rely on them to a certain degree. Let's say, I'm not going to say that they're going to be, I wouldn't trust them as much as I would trust, other types of firearms. Maybe different materials like the glass-filled Zytel, if I printed one with that. PLA material that a lot of people use, PLA plus, you're going to have issues with temperature and stuff like that you have to be aware of. So yeah, things like that. So one of the big things that makes it an interesting hobby is that, in the United States, we have, the right to manufacture firearms in our homes. And, that is a skill that is not completely accessible for a whole lot of folks, the machining capabilities and stuff like that. So, a lot of that has become more accessible with the ability to do that stuff with the 3D printer. Saying the precision needed is way higher than almost any 3D printer can offer. They would be fun to play with, but almost seems like a waste of ammo when you could be getting range time with real tools. Okay. Yeah. Well, I partially agree with you there. I am still playing around with some of this stuff and kind of testing it out myself, so I can't really give a good rebuttal on that because of my lack of experience with it. So, um, but yes, I do see your points there on some of that stuff. Um, Another topic that I wanted to cover with you guys. Need to cook dinner, be listening in the background. Okay, cool, man. Thanks for hanging. Um, Thank you to everybody that is hanging out in the thing here. Let's see. Oslot is recommending diesel, gold, Monero, rice, coffee, salt, sugar, ammunition, salt, and pretzels. Amen on that, dude. I think that's a pretty good list there for folks if you want to get started in doing this kind of stuff. AJ, what's up, man? Cut a 1911. Yeah, that would be a good one. That would be a good one to do. So, I wanted to move on and cover another one of the topics that I wanted to cover tonight, which is recently I have been watching some of the discussions that have been going on a channel called Andreas Exertis. It's Andreas Exertis channel. And what he has been talking about recently was having on a guest of John and Nancy Hutchinson, and the topic of discussion in what they're covering is alternative energy technologies and some practical experiments that some folks have been playing around with. The Hutchinsons have been playing around with some chemistry, basically, on how to create some of these things called crystal batteries. Now, I'm throwing in the formula that they posted in the chat room for you guys, and so if anybody wanted to follow along and potentially replicate this, that would be a possibility for you guys. And so let me see if I can grab this and throw this in the chat room for you real quick. For anybody that's hanging out with me tonight, there's this formula, and I'll see if I can do my best to explain some of what is happening, because I don't entirely understand the concepts of what they're doing completely myself. So let me see if I can split this up for you guys and leave this on the YouTube chat. And I don't know. Let's see. Let me see here. Let's see. This is part of it. Well, this is the next part. Let's see. I just ended it here. There we go. So basically what they're doing is they're growing crystals and then using the crystals interaction with what I would call the vacuum field, or what we call our defined space-time reality that we exist in. And so let me see. Part baking soda, and pour up some Epsom salt, white sugar, blah, blah, blah. And this is also covered on a couple of their YouTube channels. They go into greater detail about this stuff. But yeah, let me read out some of this stuff to you guys in detail. To try to describe what they got going on here. So basically, this is what they're calling a crystal battery, um, putty polymer type recipe here, and the Hutchinsons have supposedly been playing around with this for a little while and seeing some voltage creation, some energy creation with this. And I believe part of this effect is number one is kind of a piezoelectric effect where crystals can create a voltage when stimulated by a pressure of some kind. Like if you put mechanical pressure onto a crystal, it can output a electricity. It's called the piezoelectric effect, a well-known effect of that crystals have, and this is utilizing part of that effect in reaction with like signals coming from like cosmic signals, different stuff like that. And there's a couple videos that go into more detail on this, which I will have to grab from their Discord server if I can sneak into there real quick and see if I can pull up some of the videos there, making sure that I can find them for you guys. But if you want, you guys can join his Discord as well. And it looks like I can't find that exactly right now. Never mind. I found it. Let me share this with you guys real quick. Here is one method from a creator called a Laser Saver, and he has created a type of crystal battery that he's been playing around with. And then there's another guy. Well, the other person is Nancy Hutchinson, John Hutchinson's wife. And if you're not familiar with him, John Hutchinson is one of those guys that he's kind of been playing around in this realm for a while. And as far as the let's see, this is not the video. This is right here. He has been playing around with like the effects of like anti-gravity effects, like using radio signals, different kind of things. There's a kind of a whole documentary done. I think there was a documentary done about the guy in the past. Kind of a kind of made him look kind of like a kook, in the documentaries. I've heard his name in other references, other places where people are researching this topic as well. There was an effect that was named after John Hutchinson called the Hutchinson effect, where he was playing around with these different signals and supposedly getting both um, like ferrous, non-ferrous material. Like I think he was levitating non-ferrous materials like broom sticks and like aluminum and different like bowling balls and different things is getting to be levitated. And then some folks went in and attempted to replicate some of the things that he built, and apparently that he was there was something special about what he did that it uh, that people couldn't replicate. And so I've heard some people describe that he was it was potentially an interaction with his consciousness and the machines he was using. And so uh, there were times that he could perform the effect, and then other times he couldn't. So it wasn't entirely repeatable. So anyway, that's what I understand about him. But these guys have been having discussions on this, and this is something that I think may have some potential, and maybe a device that could be powering some things like in your shop or something like that. Just kind of be there collecting power that you don't have to put any inputs in once you've created the crystal in this system, that you kind of set it and forget it, and it's producing power for you in different ways. And there may be a potential to utilize that in something practical, maybe running a pump, maybe running some kind of DC thing, or creating a way to rectify it to an AC signal through an inverter, using power like a refrigerator or something like that. So anyway, if you want to follow along, that this is part of what's going on, and to look into Andreas Exertus. I just joined his Discord server, and so I'm not sure if I can send you guys a link to it. Just right off the bat here. I may be able to send out an invite. Let's see. So, invite to Exertus. Send server invite link to friend. Invite link expires. So, all right, guys. Here is the Discord link. If anybody else wants to go and get involved in this crystal battery research, you can kind of follow along with those guys, and you can see what they have going on. Maybe you want to get involved and you want to do some experiments yourself. If you would so choose, there's a link there for his Discord server if you'd like to follow along. So that's the next thing I wanted to talk about. And then finally, I kind of wanted to share some of the stuff that's going on, that's coming up. We've got the Greater Reset 4 event that's coming up. You guys can, the whole World Economic Forum and those guys have got their plans on and are working in concert to get these things rolled out to humanity. And most people are just kind of living their lives, doing their thing. Well, Derrick Broze and John Bush were in a conversation together, and we're talking about, well, these guys are doing all this over here. Can we do something to be proactive? We make our own plans and try to get solutions out to folks that are looking for solutions in this time. So the Greater Reset event is coming up on January 18th through the 22nd that you guys can go and get. Um, there's 2 live events that are gonna be happening. One in Morelia, Mexico, and then one in is gonna happen, I believe, in the Greater Reset. The Greater Reset is what I want, not the Great Reset. So you guys can go find that on the greaterreset.org. They're going to be live streaming the event for free online during that time, but then you will be able to attend the live event. One, like I said, one is happening in Texas. I believe it's happening in Bastrop, Texas. And then the other one is happening in Morelia, Mexico. There's going to be some in-person speakers. You can buy tickets. So let me pull this up on the screen here for you guys. So yeah, Morelia, Mexico, and then over there in Central Texas if you want to attend the live event. But go to thegreaterreset.org if you want to make sure that you get on their email list so that you can be alerted when that event goes live. Also, the Conscious Resistance Network, you can go on there and check out what Derrick has going on over there. He recently was doing a fundraiser for his Pyramid of Power documentary series, and which is a really nice little detail of he's kind of laying out everything that a lot of his research that he's had going on for a while, and recently did a fundraiser for that. So if you guys want to go check that out, follow him at Conscious Resistance Network. And I also wanted to share with you guys part of a discussion that Derrick had with Ernest Hancock on his Freedom's Phoenix radio show that happened today. And let me see if I can share this with you guys real quick. So let's go into here, into this replays. Yes, do that. If I can get into what's going on here. So this is the interview with Derrick and Ernest Hancock here. Here is one of the links to that, to go watch part of this discussion, but I'm going to kind of fast forward this to the end, where they're getting into the end of the talk here, because I think they're covering some pretty good stuff. Like, we're talking about solutions on the podcast tonight. What can you do? And one of the solutions is to get involved in some kind of a community. I've talked a lot about getting involved in the Freedom Cells, and the way you can do that is to go check out freedomcells.org, and just to be able to find some people in your local area. You can put yourself on the map, and there's also stuff on there like guys seeking unvaccinated check and stuff like that, that they're working on. So So they're doing stuff like that on the website, but primarily the website is to give people a place where they can connect to each other, and then from there take it off that website and actually do some meetups, some group meetups. Maybe you do like some gatherings. One of the things that we've been doing is to get together at least once a month with our local group, and it's a good way to meet like-minded people and feel like you're not alone, at least when you're out and about in the world. So that's a really good resource. But in here, when they're talking about community in this episode, Ernest Hancock has been in the liberty movement for a long time. Helped a lot of with Ron Paul's campaign back in like 2008, and was in an activist and involved in the Libertarian Party for a long time. And so he's kind of seen the movement and how people get excited about one thing and then they get started and then things devolve because of interpersonal conflicts and things like that. And talking about how people get so excited to start a project, start doing stuff together, and then they never really spent the time to get to know the people that they wanted to work with, and things weren't clearly laid out in the beginning, so there's issues and people end up suing each other and it just turns into a mess. And so they got into this discussion on what's a smarter way of doing it instead of going into some of these pitfalls and making these mistakes, and some of the things that you could do to help prevent some of that stuff. And so Derrick and Ernest Ernie's kind of sharing some of his wisdom from his experience, and then Derrick is kind of talking about from his experience what they're implementing. And I thought it was a pretty good discussion on how you can vet people for community that you want to do. And so let me see if I can find a good spot where that is and see if we can listen to a part of that here.
You're doing it. I want da 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 da. And you have your own subjective, opinion. You and Miriam both are going to make decisions on who you want to hang out with. The people that would fall off of the list that wanted to be part of the intentional community, what was the primary reasons? What do you think? They smoked a little too much weed. They weren't motivated enough. They didn't take baths. I mean, what?
So for us, whenever we first started putting this call out, initially it was just literally like through my website and my channel. Hey guys, I'm starting that intentional community finally. If you're interested, email me here. We got 400 responses from people all over the world, and then we started figuring out, okay, well, we need to have some way to filter this, some way to
Right.
determine who fits and who doesn't. And so what we did is we put together like a pretty basic questionnaire that would get us to at least have some general information on people, and then from there start eliminating people that didn't seem like a good fit. So it was like, describe in your own words, what is your vision of a community? What does that look like for you? What are the financial resources that you have to offer? And as addition to that, the skills that you're bringing to the table, knowledge, things like that. What's your timeline? How many people are in your party? So for example, if somebody was like, oh, I want to do this in 10 to 15 years, well, then that would eliminate them because we're trying to do this sooner rather than later, right? If somebody's vision was just totally opposite of what we were going for, then that would, make it like, all right, I don't think this is going to work. Sounds like a cool vision, but it doesn't really align with what we have. And then when it came to the finances, we didn't, like some communities I've seen, they start out with like, you have X amount of dollars to be able to, even be considered. You have to have $30,000 or whatever it may be, some sort of financial requirement. We decided to kind of balance that with, obviously we need money to buy land, and we want to work with people who are not just coming in dead broke and have nothing to offer. But there are sometimes people who just for whatever reason are not very strong in the financial department, but they have an amazing amount of skills and knowledge that is kind of invaluable. They can build anything, they can grow anything, they have a lot to offer from just their own experiences. So we factored that in as well. And so we didn't really eliminate people based on just, okay, this person doesn't have enough money, so cut them. It was like, okay, well, they've only got $5,000, but they can really help out in all these other areas. Their vision is extremely aligned with ours. Their timeline is about the same as ours. So let's bring them in. And so that's how we narrowed it down to that original 50. And then from there, we started doing these weekly Zoom calls with each other, just getting to know each other. And it just sort of,
what was
some
the
people end up being too busy. They just stop coming.
what was the common trait that you think made they were all voluntarist, anarchists, libertarians? They read Rothbard. They were of a certain age. They had, they came from a single parent. I mean, what was the commonality, you think?
I mean, if there was anything, I wouldn't even say that everybody, like, we didn't ask specific to like tell us what, maybe that would be an interesting one. Add like, hey, what are the philosophical books that have inspired you throughout your life, to kind of get some insight. So I would estimate that most of them probably would be voluntarist, freedom minded, libertarian, anarchist, etc. type labels. But as far as like age, that's been, it's all been pretty varied. Like I said, we had some people reaching out in their late 20s. Most people don't start getting money to get land anyways till they're getting themselves established in their late 20s or 30s, or maybe even after that. So not really getting any high school kids or college kids reaching out too much. And then there was people who are retired, 60s, 70s, who just got a bunch of money, and they know what's coming, and they're like, hey, I can't build anything, or I'm too old to be in the garden all day, but I got a lot of financial resources. I'm a mechanic. So it was varied in age. It was varied in location, nationality. I think it was mainly the commonality was this vision of, our particular vision has three core tenets. The first being self-ownership, non-aggression principle. You own yourself, individual liberty. That's the foundation. And then from there, permaculture. We want to use permaculture to grow our food, to build our buildings, to, how we relate to the planet, and do all that. And then the third is just broadly, kind of generally, we just term mindfulness, which again doesn't mean you have to meditate or you have to be a yogi or anything. It's just people who are emotionally intelligent, emotionally mature, and want to keep growing as people who are not kind of set in their ways and don't want to, want to build something and co-create something together. That was like the sort of core foundation that we started from. And since there, as we've developed our group, we've added a few more things, but that was the kind of foundation that we shared with everybody and said, this is the vision we're building from. We also made it clear that we believe in self-defense, even in Mexico, and that was going to be a part of our community. We made it clear that, just different things like that. And so it was really the vision that brought together people, because we didn't eliminate anybody based on age. We didn't eliminate people based on nationality. We didn't eliminate people exclusively based on their resources. It was more of the combination of those things and making sure that their vision was somewhere in the same range we were aiming for.
Well, what were you looking for? I mean, define.
We're looking for freedom minded, voluntarist minded people. But even if somebody's like, hey, I've never read Rothbard a day in my life, but they understand the value of bodily autonomy and individual liberty, which obviously so many more people during COVID times and the injections recognize the importance of protecting that people who get that, people who have some knowledge or interest in learning permaculture. Miriam and I are both permaculture certified instructors, and so that's going to be a big part of what we're doing. Again, people who want to keep growing as people, who want to enjoy the benefits of community. We haven't really mapped out like, hey, there's gonna be a daily meeting or anything like that. Really, we want it to be spontaneous and to be loose, and to have some commitments with those who choose to be involved. But even within our current 5 households who have signed on, who are on board, and who are financially committed to this project, there's no requirement within there that they have to participate in anything that they don't feel inclined in. Obviously, the goal is we want people who do want to be involved to some degree. Myself, I spend a lot of time at the computer doing my own work in my own world, but I also want to have the opportunity to, once or twice a week, if not more, step out and go do some work with people who are aiming to do similar things. Have maybe a weekly community meeting / dinner together, and just things like that. We're really trying to build friendships with people that we can trust. And because I'm not an extremely wealthy guy myself, like the money I'm going to be putting into this is going to be my hopes and dreams. This is something I'm trying to build and commit my life to creating. And ultimately our goal with the project, which is called the Conscious Agora, is to develop this into a model that I can share, that can be as easy as possible. Here's the steps we took. Here's the ways.
So you're going to do like an ebook, or you're going to have a book, or you're going to do a video series, or see, I'm looking for a template, I mean, that, would be inspiring to generation next of freaking, give it to, government teacher, senior year of high school. I mean, whatever. But the point is that this is not what you don't get this in government schools. They're not going to teach you how to be independent from, government authority. I mean, that's not on their list. I mean, at least, in the 70s, I'm in junior high and so on, you had to read 1984 or Brave New World, or, the ACLU was, 16 millimeter film day of why they supported the Nazis marching and whatever, for free speech kind of crap, and none of that anymore. This is the people that are coming to you that are looking to be inspired are doing this totally, on their own. And that's why when I interview a lot of people, certainly prominent individuals, I'm going, okay, what was your first memory? I mean, at 3 years, I mean, what made you this way? What, parent, sibling, teacher, coach, employer, whatever, sparked your interest in being freedom oriented? How did that happen? What is the secret sauce? What do we need to insert into our communities to make sure there's more people like you? That kind of thing. And what you're creating and what we've done with, various different things that we had, Levolution probably is a good example, is that how inspirational and all-encompassing that was for so many people to gravitate towards to get these ideas of freedom. And I'm going, okay, we need that, we need, and I'm looking for that, how are we, and my helping you and, and John, here in America, do that. I want to help. Why? Because it benefits freaking me. I'm a little bit selfish. I mean, I'm not just doing this for, the heck of it. I want to have this kind of thought process going, these kinds of questions, and offering solutions to people that are asking these kinds of questions. So probably the biggest, I've known you for a while and, know all your stuff and been in your events, and you and I've overlapped on a lot of things and, partied and whatever. But I'm telling you, when you started talking about competing directly with, the Great Reset and their structure on how they're doing, infiltrating into the states and communities and schools and all that kind of, whoa, that's what needs to happen. It's a good idea, but I mean, damn. I mean, you're not taking on a small task here. It's how does that manifest itself? Who are these people? How do you motivate them to even give a crap? See, that's why I always ask, why are you like this? Why do you care? And a lot of times, they never even ask themselves. They never, they never even thought of why they would even be doing this. So the people that come to you, do you drill down in why? Where did they come from? What was the crucible that created them? You see my point?
No, I do understand. And I mean, I could answer your question briefly. I'm gonna have to head out.
Yeah. I'll let you go here in a second.
But I mean, I think that I don't have a specific, I've tried to figure this out too. I've asked some friends kind of joking, like, did we not drink enough fluoride? Or we not watch enough TV? But,
right.
Sure enough, there are people who chug soda every day and watch TV 24 hours a day, and still somehow they, end up in our circles. So I don't know what what that secret sauce is. I mean, for me, I think it's just facing adversity and challenges. And I mean, you've heard my story before. Getting locked up was a real kick in the chest to figure out my life and what direction I wanted to go. And even before I was awake to all this stuff, I knew I didn't want to be behind bars and that wasn't the future I wanted. And so it kind of shaped my path, and my aversion to avoid being in any sort of prison, things like that, I think is definitely part of my motivation. And, as far as motivating other people, it is a full-time job. I mean, I don't know that any of us have the perfect answer, the one answer. I'm not even sure that there is, right? I mean, I think that we all do what we can do best, right? You have a gift for spreading your message and doing it in your way, and in the signs and the tours. And then, I've got my tours, and John's, good with putting together webinars and all these kind of things. Everybody's got their strengths that people are bringing together. And I feel like collectively we're motivating people. But I can say that what we're trying to do with the Freedom Zone Network, with the Greater Reset, I've been joking to John that we're the solutions caucus of the freedom movement, that we're trying to just barrel far ahead and pull as many people with us as we can towards solutions, towards having the kind of conversations that you and I have been having today. Because excuse me, I think that's more important than personally, trying to take over the Libertarian Party or,
Right. Okay.
uh,
Final question. I know you got to
yeah.
you got to go, and I got another meeting. But I tell you, this is the question: are we going to vote ourselves free?
Well, that's been working for so long, right? I mean, isn't that our strategy, Ernie? I mean, what else is there? Obviously that's not the path we're taking. We're, like you said, or you said it a couple times, voting with your feet. That's the way I've voted the last couple years here, but also, voting by the people you hang out with, vote by investing in yourself, vote by, considering what your vision is, what your 2030 is. That to me is the way that I really choose to quote unquote vote. And then, I'm not going to give their system any of my time, and I really try not to pay any attention to the spectacle of Donald Trump's coming back, or is it Ron DeSantis, or is Biden still alive, or I've got more important things to worry about. It's not that I'm ignoring them and pretending like they don't exist. Obviously, everything I'm doing is trying to counter and offer an alternative to them. But other than just sort of watching them from a distance, up, yep, they're doing their thing. Here come the digital IDs. Here come the digital
Right.
currencies.
Everything
And
we've
that
been
just
warning
reminds
about. Here
me.
we go.
Exactly. And that just reminds me why I'm doing the things that I'm doing, So I just try to keep myself focused on promoting these solutions and hoping and praying for whatever it's worth that we're going to get somewhere better.
Okay, before you go, give out the web pages and a lot of this vision and the Greater Reset, of course, and the new materials that you're going to have available, and resources for people, and the plan of whatever. Where are they going to find that? Start giving out the web page. Everybody, get your pen
Sure.
ready.
All right, everybody. I talked about where you guys could go find a lot of the stuff that Derrick is doing. Go check him out at thegreaterreset.org. Go sign up for freedomcells.org if you would so choose to get connected with more people in your area. And then you can also find Derrick at his main website, which is the conscious resistance .com, the Conscious Resistance Network. And go check it out there. He has the most recent video out on the Pyramid of Power series. He did a live debut of that today, I believe. And so you guys can go check it out there. I wanted to talk about some things that they were saying. I wanted to cover some of the things that they were saying before we wrap up the show here. We got a little bit more time in the show. We've got about 14 more minutes to hang out and talk with you guys tonight. And one of the things that Derrick was talking about there was how you vet people into your community. And so I think that's super important, is to have a vetting process and to get to know the people that you are going to get yourself involved in with a community to avoid those pitfalls, because it's could be a difficult waters to navigate with other people. And as you could hear from Derrick's example, was he went from putting a general call out to the broad internet and got like 400 responses, and then from doing these Zoom calls, regular Zoom calls, like sounds like he was doing weekly Zoom calls from there, kind of narrowing it down even more. And also, I think he mentioned that developing some type of questionnaire, which I think would be extremely helpful if you're going to do something like this, where you go in and you write down all the things that you want folks to understand before joining the community. So asking them questions like, what does the community look like to you? You know, what's your specific timeline on when you want to get started with doing this thing in the community? Think about any kind of financial requirements you're going to have for folks that are going to be in the community. You'd want people to be able to stand on their own 2 feet, and they're not just going to come in and just be leeching off of you in some way. So you want them to be financially self-sufficient. Um, One of the things that he did talk about is that there could be trade-offs. So if somebody was more not as financially stable, but they had some really good skills that you guys could use, like some kind of skills and abilities that would be helpful for the group, that could be a trade-off between their financial standing. So some different things that you could consider when trying to form some kind of community, but I really do think it is important to have some kind of vetting process. And specifically, I've taken one of Stefan Verstappen's course through the Agora marketplace that talks about how to form communities, and that was one of the things that he also suggested, was to have some type of questionnaire developed, and that there's some certain facets of community that make and help people bond with each other. One of those things is to have like some type of festival or gathering event that you do, like have traditions together, is one kind of thing. I've heard of some other folks describe different ways that communities bond, and one of them can be through working on different projects together, and one of those could be some form of community gardening. And one method that I've ran across that I believe is pretty cool with that is a concept of what somebody has called a bonded tribe. And what they're describing there was having a community garden, but not running it the way that standard community gardens run, because it kind of gets into this idea in economics, which is the tragedy of the commons, which is where if everybody owns something, then nobody owns it, and so nobody like really wants to take care or put in like their care and time and effort into it. And so this community had figured out how to uh, basically trade labor hours for produce in the gardens. And so your amount of time that you would spend in the garden is correlating to the end harvest and all the produce that is grown through the season. And so it's a way that folks can be part of the community garden, and they have a stake in it, and you're tracking your time on kind of like an honor system sheet. You volunteer for a certain shift, and it's 1 day per week that you go and contribute to the garden, and it's on Sundays. So it's one of those things in this one neighborhood. This guy's doing this like in a subdivision, and folks from the subdivision come onto his land, and they have some community garden areas set up on the land, and everyone gets kind of gets together, and they decide like the crops that they want to focus on in the community garden, and then they come and share different shifts on Sundays, and put their time in on Sundays to come in and work in the garden, and then record their time there, and then that correlates to the produce that comes out of the garden. And so I like that system because people have a stake in it. It gets around that tragedy of the commons issue. It's like on a day, uh, like one day a week where folks are typically, if you're working a 9 to 5 job, that you can come and you can contribute to it, and that folks in the community can come and go as they please, basically, on that day. And it's open to everybody in the neighborhood, so that folks feel like I feel like that is a really good way of creating community with other people, because you're not like everybody like kind of in a commune type situation or whatever. They may try to be doing some kind of community gardening efforts or whatever, but it may fall through the cracks over time just because people that aren't as dedicated to it. And then some people do more work than others. And then how do you figure that out? Everybody just shares it equally. I don't really think that really works with human beings. So I think some kind of system like the time system that those guys developed there was a pretty good idea. And it could be implemented for folks that are in a city type environment, suburban area, and you want to get community together, and you'd like to start this community garden effort, and that your neighbors can come by on a specific day, and you have a certain area allotted for them for gardening space and for help with gardening. So as things can deteriorate to maybe deteriorate, well, as things further deteriorate in our society here, as we're heading into this new age of central bank digital currencies and all this kind of stuff, to kind of wrap up the episode here, staying on this theme that you're providing an alternative to them. And if you're in that place where you can be the leader in your area, that you can get something started, however small that might be, to be the change, you want to see in the world, and take those actions to be the leader in your community, and, step up and do something, is reminiscing back to the Agorist Nexus article there, was so well put, is just take some action to make a positive change, whether that just be getting into some kind of alternative energy stuff, get yourself more disconnected with the system in some way, start growing more of your own food, start with baby steps, start trying to get a group together in your local area, do something to get this ball rolling, because if we're not going to do anything, if we're not going to take any actions, then we can't be surprised at the type of dystopian future that we're walking into. So I do think that there's a lot of white pills if you go and search them out. I'm trying to facilitate your white pilling a little bit here and be more optimistic about the future, because of the possibilities we have. Not to say that it's not going to be hard, or it's going to be a challenge. But would you rather go into the future and have it be a challenge for you, than to just sit around and just accept that all this is going to happen, and just lay down and just let it wash over you into this kind of total surveillance? I have to watch everything I say. I have to fall in line every day, and be a good little drone, and just keep serving my life out in that way. I don't think that people want to do that. I don't think the human spirit is meant to be held down like that. And there's always going to be that longing in your heart for that taste of freedom, and that dangerous freedom, instead of the humdrum daily rat in a cage scenario where you're just repeating the same things over and over again in this endless loop of hellishness and no freedom of thought. So that's the show for tonight, guys. Thank you guys for hanging out. Shout out to everybody that came to hang out with me tonight. Crimson Clad, Ron Don, El Gecko. I see you guys hanging out in the Discord. Thank you guys for chilling with me tonight and listening to what I have to say. Appreciate you guys. And to everybody that came and hung out with me on the YouTube chat, the local friends that came and helped me out with some articles and stuff. Tracy, thank you. Ocelot, thank you. And Scope 'em Out and AJ Algers, thank you for coming to hang out in the chat and what you guys had to say. So appreciate it, everybody. We'll see you guys on the next episode of Meadows and Makers podcast here on MSP Waves and coming to more places out on the internet as I figure out how to make that happen. So thank you guys. We'll see you guys next time. Peace.